Okay, now I'm taking the pastel paper, I'm putting it on a board so it's vertical again. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a border so that when I pull this off, it'll be like this one. It'll have an edge to it with no pastels on it. So it looks finished. Now the difference on one side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself some extra space. The extra space is going to be to try to see what colors my pastels are, and also to remember how I showed you how I was able to reshape the pastels so the edges weren't as sharp. And you can do that if you have an extra little area here. You're able to see what colors are going to come on and take a look at how it will look in the painting. So let's see, I'm going to put the border here. And then I put my edge. Even with the edge, I still have some pastels down here on the paper towels. Just be aware. Many years ago when I was pregnant with my son, and I wanted to know what paints I could use during my pregnancy, I called up Ralph Meyer. Now Ralph Meyer wrote the Artist Handbook of Art Materials. I mean, he is the guru. And I was in New York at the time. I called him up. How I got his number, I have no idea. Called him up and told him my dilemma. So I asked him, can I use oils? He said, no, they're toxic. I said, pastels. He said, no, the pastel dust can sometimes be toxic. And if you're pregnant, it's not good. So I didn't use pastels. I used acrylics, and probably I could have used watercolor as well. But nowadays, I've done some research. There's a lot of pastels on the market that are non-toxic. Basically, the things that will make them toxic will be cadmium and cobalt. Those ingredients, those heavy metals, are toxic to you. Probably I inhaled so much of that over the last some odd years. That's why I have my allergies now. So if you have a tendency for allergies, put your mask on. I'm not, which I'll probably suffer from later, but I got all my pastels lined up here. They'll be facing me so I see them. Now, this is what I worked on at home just to get a sense of what I was going to do for you guys. Now, notice I've got it in a plastic sleeve. It's very good, and none of the pastel has shifted, and I was able to bring it to you here undisturbed. Now, first things you do is you take a look at what you've got in front of you. Half of the process is understanding what you're going to be doing. So I first look at the colors. Now they're all cool colors. Cool meaning blues, greens, and purples. Here it's mostly blues and greens. In order to be balanced, you've got to have warms. You cannot have just cool colors. So you've got some orangey ochre here. Orange and blue are complements. The two of them together work like Van Goghs. They putting both next to them, they have an energy. They are opposites on the color wheel, and they balance. If you have the blue, you've got to have the orange. And we've got plenty of greens. We've got all different types of greens. We've got dark greens, we've got lighter greens, middle greens, and we've got the really light, bright greens here. Now, the opposite on the color wheel of green is red. The opposite of cools are always a warm color. So we've got to figure out where to put some reds. I tried to put some in on this one, but as I found out, we could only do around two layers, 3 possibly, of the pastels before we run into problems. So this time around, I'm going to see if I can put the reds somewhere, because I've got to balance out the palette. Got to have more reds to balance the greens. The next thing, I've looked at the colors. I figured what colors I'm going to be using. Now you squint your eyes at this picture, and you'll notice this whole area, including the roof, are very dark values. They almost this blue almost blends into this. So this is one big solid shape. Then squinting your eyes too, you see the space around the leaves of this tree that's coming out from the side here. There is a shape here, and that's what I'm going to use when I draw. Now, I looked a little carefully, and I'm looking at the barn. I don't know if you can see it that clearly from what you're looking at, but this is a barn here. It looks like the barn door is open, and there's a little paddock over here. Now, the person who's taking this photograph is above it. They're on this hill, and this hill is above this barn. So the barn is down below the other side of this hill. So that's really what we're looking at. Now, what I'll do now is I'm going to figure out everything is in proportion to something else. Everything is in relation to something else. So made this little extra area here. I've kind of squared off the painting a little bit, so it's kind of not as rectangular. So I'd say halfway would be here, up and down, and this is a little bit below halfway, and it goes up a little hill. So this is, I'll just put a line. It goes up a little bit. Now I'm just using my arm, so I'm not close up like this. I'm using my arm to make the line. Yeah, you know what? It needs to be a little slower. I'm going to just erase it. It's not going to make any difference because it's going to be lower. Also, you would have had a kneaded eraser in your kit. So, see, I have absolutely no residue. Your kneaded eraser is in like a little square. You've got to knead it like dough and smush it up. Mine has been used. Notice how dirty it is. Okay, so I'm going to do it a little bit lower. Just a little bit, but and there. Okay. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is figure out the little barn is kind of, this would be halfway, so that the steeple of that is halfway, and this is halfway. It's a little bit off to this side. So I'm going to just do a little Now I'm going to get the angle of the roof. I have one eye closed and I've got my arm extended and my pencil at the angle of that roof. Then I put it over here. I see what it's going to look like and I put the line in. Now I'm going to put the line for a cross for the base there and lead this way. And I'll put it like this. I'm putting it over here. And I see the angle. I see the angle. And I put the angle over here. And I see it went off on this. This should be like this. And the roof, it's not straight like this, it's at an angle. So it's like this. And all right, let me check it again. This. Now I'm going to do this side. I'm going back over to just check. Oop. And then actually it's easy. These are, well, they're not straight vertical. They're not straight up and down. They're a little at an angle. I'll put them at a little of an angle. This is slight. That's more of an angle than it should be. Okay. Oops. And the hill should be up a little higher for this. Okay. All right, I'm going to move this over. I'm going to move this down like this. And move this down like this. And once again, I'm going to move this hill. Alright. And I'm going to make it a little bit higher. A little closer to the barn. Because the barn is below this, so it's got to meet the line for the grass. Now, with pastels, you don't have lines. I mean, the drawing does. But you don't have lines per se. You may have little scribbles eventually, the final layer. Basically, it's impressionistic. You've got globs of color. It's not precise. You don't see very fine lines, especially with the landscape. All right, now, this is... The roof goes from here to here, this line here, and then it goes down. I have no idea why the barn roof goes down, but it goes down. And down higher for this. And then we have the barn door. window. And we'll take a close-up of this and have it enclosed with the kit so you know what we're working with on the photo. Okay, and there's a little overhang here, a little window. It looks like this is the top of a little door over here. And that's it. Very simple. Now, we're going to do positive, negative now. I told you about all this dark area. When you squint your eyes, you find different shapes through here. What you're going to try to do is see this dark shape here? You want to keep this dark shape, this is a triangle here, and you want to be able to get the same shape of these tree limbs there. So basically, we're going to be running out of space, but I'm going to put, let's see, and this is like in comparison straight across from almost the top of the roof. So that's where this little area is going to be. It goes in and then it goes out, and then it goes down here, and then it goes into this area, which we'll do. Now, then I'm going to do the shape of this. It almost hits the roof, it looks like, but of course it's close. The reason we know it's close is because the light is hitting it. It's closer to us. It has a brighter color. So I'm going to put this. Now notice I have this shape here. The negative space is the same as this negative space. And then I start working. I've got a little limb over here. And then I've got above the house, I've got this one area that the sun is hitting, the green leaves. So it's a shape like this, and through here. And that's it. Basically, there's some trees through here. Now here, this is a meadow that's growing. It's closer. Whoever took the picture, this was closest to them. And as in any painting, whatever is closest to you has more details and is going to be brighter. So right now I'm just going to make a interesting shape of this little shrub line here. You're trying to make it interesting. The shapes make the painting interesting. You don't want to see the same shape over and over. You want to see things that are pleasant to look at. You don't want, so this is basically, and this can go up like this. Okay. And then we got the grasses down here, the orange, looks like little hay or something is growing up through here. I'm just going to put a couple of little lines through here. This is close up. Close up is going to be more detailed and it's going to be brighter. So basically that's it. But I'm looking at this now. It's got a lot of interesting things on this side, left side, not too much on this side. I think this picture is strange, but I'm going to extend this. It looks like there's a little corral over here. So I'm going to put that there. So it balances a little bit more, and maybe I see a little bit of light going through the trees up through here. And a little bit over here. Yeah, that looks a little bit more balanced. You don't want everything all on one side. You don't want the center of interest all on one side. You want it to be balanced. And we'll be putting in a little bit of light through the trees through here as well. Okay, let me step back, take a look. Okay, I'll make this, I'll get a little bit more of a slant to this. Here, this is a little bit more of a slim down rectangle because it's going back. Somehow or another I made this very thick, but all right, well, I can always make it, all right, let's try it this way. This is going back into the distance. Let's say, yeah, I like that better. Yeah, you have to always step back. When you work close up, what happens is you see something the same way and you start thinking it looks great. But what you have to do is like clear your mind, like clean your palette, and then look at it again from a different point of view, freshly. What happens is your mind tends to have this tell you it's good because you've seen it, you worked on it, and then when you see it fresh, you're able to really see what is in front of you, which is the idea. You need to see what is actually there rather than what you have a preconception that it is. All right, yeah, this needs to start here. This is basically, the barn is a box. So it's really, you're drawing a box that is at an angle going back. So that's really what I'm drawing here. That's what you will be drawing. So yeah, this could go down a little lower. We'll put this maybe a little lower, and then this a little lower. Barn door over here, and then this one coming down over the barn door. Okay, and these slats all go in the same direction through here, and these all come vertically down. Okay, all right, now basically what you should do at this point is step back, take a break for a minute, and then we'll come back and we will then do the pastel drawing.